being busy doesn't guarantee success in your business. So today I'm going to share tips to help you be more productive in a way that will increase your profits, grow your business, and help you to avoid overwhelm and burnout. I'll also share some of my favourite productivity tips, including one that's an absolute game changer. I'm Steph from Innovate and Thrive Co, a business design consultant who helps service-based creatives grow thriving businesses through strategy, operations, and intentional design. So first of all, let's clarify what we mean by productivity. And I'll read you the definition. It's the effectiveness of productive effort, especially in industry, as measured in terms of the rate of output per unit of input. In layman's terms, it's the return of time and effort investment, not the time spent. So we can be relentlessly busy, as we often are, but not productive. And that's where that phrase, the busy fool, comes from, because the time we're spending isn't giving us what we need back from it. And as business owners, we wear all of the hats, we do all of the things. And so productivity, the return on investment for our time and effort, really is key. And that's what this blog's about, and that's what this video is about. So first things first, and something I really want to clarify, is there is no one-size-fits-all blueprint for productivity. It just doesn't exist. We are all different. We have different ways of working, learning preferences, thinking style. We are all different. So it's about finding our own personal practice. And I'm going to share 4 core steps with you that you can analyse and follow that will enable you to find your method of productivity. So those 4 core areas are eliminate, simplify, automate, and delegate. So let's dig into them and find out what they mean. Eliminate is, as exactly as it says, it's about taking things out. So that could be looking at your to-do list, and if we're all the same. Usually we all have those long to-do lists with items on them that have sat there for the last week, 5 weeks, 10 weeks, 6 months. They keep there, they keep on the bottom of the list, and we leave them on there. Why? So what I would love you to do is to ask yourself, what would happen if I didn't do that? And if the answer is nothing, get it off. Just bin it, completely remove it from your list. Reduce those tasks down to the critical stuff that you need to deliver for your business. And then that then carries over into things like our systems and productivity tools and things like that. We have a fear of missing out. We see something mentioned, we think, oh yeah, that looks great, I'm going to add that in. And before you know it, we've got a ton of everything. And so again, eliminate. Remove what you don't need, pick your poison and stick with it, and use that as your productivity method. Then we come to to simplify, and simplify is about taking what's left. So after you've eliminated what you don't need, then you take what's left and you make that as simple as you possibly can. So that is around your use of systems, creating templates so you're not reinventing the wheel all the time, creating a routine that's simple for you to follow, that you can commit to and that works for you. Not multitasking. And this is often where we can fall down, is thinking that multitasking is beneficial. And actually there's been a study done, it's linked in the blog, that shows, in fact many studies done, one of them's linked in the blog, and it just shows that multitasking actually decreases our productivity and our thinking ability. So don't try to multitask, but just stick to one thing at a time and keep your routine simple, keep your systems simple, keep your processes simple. And that brings us nicely to the next one, which is automate. Once you know the structure of what you're going to be doing, you can then look at ways to automate it. And automation really is the best friend of productivity, but it can also be the worst enemy. So one question for you to ask every time you think about automating: does it save me time and does it simplify the process? Or 2 questions. Does it save me time? Does it simplify the process? If the answer is yes, then do it and have fun with it, because they're the tiny game changers that we have in our day that take us from doing 30 minutes of admin a day to maybe 30 minutes in a month. They can be real game changers for us in terms of productivity, allowing us to focus on other things. If it's creating complexity and if it's adding in time into your day, you don't want to go near it. So don't automate for the sake of it. Make sure it's beneficial, but really go to town when you can, because that stuff is gold dust. Then the final one is delegate. And it's not for everybody, and it's not for everybody right now, but it could be in the future. And this is when it's financially viable. Think about outsourcing some of the tasks, or if you're in a position to, employ someone to do them for you. And this isn't about knee-jerk outsourcing and hiring. You know, everything we do should be strategic. So it's not I feel overwhelmed, let me outsource to a VA. I never advocate for that. This is about really thinking about the skills you need within your business, where you are best spent in your business. What should you be focused on? Where should your time be spent? What tasks will you do as the business owner? And hinting that the strategic stuff needs to sit with you. And then it's what's left and who can fulfill that role. So for example, I did this recently with somebody who thought they needed a VA, and actually it turned out they needed a copy assistant or a content assistant, which is totally different skill set. And it's interesting when you go through that exercise, what is actually going to benefit your business and allow you to be more productive and effective as a business owner. So I'm not saying it's not a VA, I'm just saying approach it strategically, find out who that person or what role that is, and then find the best person for it. A list of my favourite productivity tools, the ones that I use, and in the blog you'll find a broad list of productivity tools, but these are the ones that I use every single day. So for my client management, I use Dubsado, and that allows me to automate appointments, signing up of clients, contract signing, and invoicing as well. ClickUp is one that I use also with my clients in terms of managing projects with them, but I use it for my business, and I have a business manager that works with me, and we share an area, a space on ClickUp where we manage my business through that space, and it is invaluable. I couldn't do without it. I also, in terms of structure and routine, I block my days into themes. So I make sure that I have all clients on one day, I'm doing all write-ups on another day, I'm creating all content on another day, or as far as I can, that's what I do. And the reason that I do that is because I can't go, if I'm optimizing client work and really in the detail on their strategy and their operations, for me to then cut that off and hop into something else is very difficult for my brain to keep up and actually be at its best and most productive. So I theme my days so that I can dive right into whatever I'm working on and stay in it for a day, get the most done that I can. It makes me the most productive, and then I can move on to the next thing another day. I've also recently introduced the Pomodoro technique, because I was finding that, particularly in the current circumstances, I was getting quite distracted with social media, news, all of those good things, and my brain was really struggling to concentrate. So there's a website which allows you to implement the Pomodoro technique very simply. The Pomodoro technique is a productivity tool that was developed in the 80s, and it's simply about allowing your brain short bursts of productivity, with a promise that at the end of that there is a short period of time for it to get distracted and do what it wants to do, and then you're back to another short burst of activity, usually about 25 minutes or 45 minutes. And so pomofocus.io, there's a link in the blog. That's the website I use in order to implement the Pomodoro technique. And then I have a playlist which I put on in the background. I'm an extrovert, I need noise, and as everybody is the same, we can't have use the same part of our brain for two things at the same time. So I can't listen to a podcast whilst I'm writing and needing the language side of my brain. So instead I listen to a playlist, and I think it was Alice Benham recommended the vlog playlists, which is now what I put on because they're up tempo and they kind of speed me up and they get my energy going, and yeah, I find that fantastic. So for me, that's how I manage my productivity. There are more details, more tips in the blog. I've got 10 of them in there for you to have a look at. And I did promise you a game-changing tip. And this is one that I struggle with, but I'm trying really hard with, and it is sleep. And that it's not a system, it's not a technique. Sleep is something we all need as humans, but actually it is critical to productivity. There's been lots of studies done that show if we don't have enough sleep, we lack concentration, we lack attention to detail, we lack the ability to process information, or at least it slows down significantly. There is a fantastic book called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. It goes into that. He's done years of study on this stuff. He goes into all of that. If you don't want to read a book, but want to hear about it, he was interviewed by Joe Rogan on his podcast. Highly recommend either of those to dig into it a bit more. But honestly, from somebody who suffers with insomnia fairly frequently, I can tell you sleep is the biggest impact on how productive I am. And I know from all of these studies done that that is true across the board for everybody. So get your sleep, have a look at these productivity tips, pull out the ones that feel relevant for you and that you think might have an impact, and let me know how you get on. Enjoy the blog, and don't forget, if you need help setting up the foundations for a productive business, get in touch.